Alright, I know some of you guys are very thorough and are going to want to know how you can check your stuff to make sure it's working before you tell me it's ready. So I'm going to quickly go over how I'm going to evaluate your server so you can do the same before you submit it if you like. Basically, if we look at the evaluation matrix, you see that configure DNS server, implement address book web app, SSL. So basically the first thing I'm going to do is try to access your web page by domain name over HTTPS. If all those things works and I can add a contact, if all those things work, then that proves that your stuff is mostly working. I will also SSH to your system as sec team, so it's very important you have your sec team user working. And I will also make sure your firewall is running with the appropriate rules. So if I can use your web app and your firewall is running, then that gives you credit for full credit for those top three things. So that's pretty easy. So how about if your web app is not working because you didn't finish that working? How can you check and see if DNS is working, or how can you test along the way? Well, you can use Nslookup to ask your DNS server questions. And there's basically two kinds of questions we want to ask your DNS server. We want to ask your DNS server questions about your own domain. So this is how you can tell Nslookup which web server to which DNS server to ask. So basically I'm saying, hey, I want to do a name server lookup for this domain name, www.rbe000.lab, and this is the DNS server I want to ask. So you'll put your IP there. So that worked. It gave me back an IP address for my server. And then I also want to be able to ask it about other domain names, because your server should be forwarding to my server. So you should be able to ask it about other domains. And I just got to answer back for cnt.lab. So that proves my web server is working. My DNS server is working. So that's how you can check DNS. Web's pretty easy. If you can't connect in the browser, then it's not working. You know, you can try HTTP. If HTTP works, but HTTPS doesn't work, then you have a problem with your HTTPS config. If you get to your page, I didn't want that, and you click on this access address book and the page comes up, but it's not querying your database, then that probably means there's something wrong with your PHP code or the packages you've installed. You might need to restart Apache if you have not done that since you installed PHP. So that's how you can check your web stuff a little more thoroughly. If you try to connect to things and it just times out, check your firewall. It might be a good idea to turn your firewall off while you're implementing this stuff. And then once you get everything working, turn your firewall back on and try to get it set properly. So that's how you check the top three things. How will I check your time? Well, on your server, I will look for NTP date in the cron log, because it should be logging in the cron log every hour that it ran the command. So that's how I will check that. For logging, you do not have access to my log server, so you can't get on my log server and see if the log entries are being received. But what you can do is you can see if the logs are being sent. So if you already had CNT220, you'll know TCP dump is a command line sniffer that you can use to look at network traffic. And you might even remember that you can filter traffic. So this command is going to show us any traffic going to the log server. So if I run that command and then I generate a log entry, how can I generate a log entry? I can generate a log entry by logging in to my server. In theory, if I actually log in successfully, it will generate a log entry. And we see that you are actually sending the traffic. Here's the log that says you sent the traffic, so that's fine. Here's the next log that said my log server did not want the traffic because it sent you a UDP port unreachable. Hopefully I'll go fix that before you get to the implementing the project part. But all you need to worry about is that you actually sent the traffic. So if this shows you sent traffic to the syslog port or port UDP port 514, then that is all you need to worry about for that. So that's how you can prove that your syslog is working. This proves that you are sending syslog traffic. And if my server is not receiving it, that's my problem, not yours. System has been updated. Pretty easy. Yum check dash update. It's going to check and see if there are any updates available. If there are no updates available, then you're fine. My server probably has updates available because I don't even know the last time I updated it. Yeah, I have updates available. So I would fill that part. Reboot everything, it still works. Why do I do this? Well, there's a good chance you could turn stuff on and modify your firewall that's running, but not save those things and not do check config to make it start at the different run levels. So basically I reboot it and make sure everything still works. So basically I'll reboot it, then I'll go back to your web app. If I refresh the page and add a new entry and it works, that's fine. I'll also SSH back in, make sure the firewall came back on, and then you'll be good for that. And then finally, for the compliance to security standard, basically I'll look at your report and see that you found most of the things that were broken and that you gave recommendations to fix them. 5% for each day that's late. Basically, I'll do some math. And then too much help. If you send me 1,000 emails, I'll take off some points for too much help. So not literally 1,000 if you send me if you needed too much help. So that is how you can check your server before you ask me to check it, and that is also how I will be checking it. So hopefully that will help you be confident in how many points you're going to get from your submission.